So it's been about 1 week since New World came out, and even though I've been in like every alpha since the game was mentioned, I already know that I do like the game, and I just wanted to kind of go over the things I liked and didn't like in this video. The reason that New World is so interesting to me as an MMO is because it doesn't play like other MMOs. The combat, although janky at times, is different enough to pull me out of that traditional MMO experience. And a lot of the other systems that New World has gives me that same vibe. Whether it's chopping trees, smashing rocks, or picking weed, it's all different enough to feel unique to me. There are some interesting quality of life additions that I don't recall being in the game. That's not different from other games, it's just it wasn't in this one originally, and that's like how your quest objectives are now glowing in this bright blue color. That's pretty easy to spot, that's cool. And the map level requirements for each zone is actually being shown on the map. And that was something I was going to make a video about, like what zones are for what levels, but since that's already on the map, I don't have to do that. And I think it's a really cool thing so you know where to go next instead of just being stuck in one zone thinking you have to do everything before moving on to the next. So that's pretty cool. They've also added a fourth place for players to start. I think they could have just kept the original three of Monarch's Bluff, Windsward, and First Light, but I think they added, I think it's called Restless Shores. I want to say Reekwater, but I don't think that's the name of it. Even though they weren't able to see the server congestion, they could see beaches being overflown, so I guess it's okay. You know, COVID regulations and all. Of course, I'm digging being able to play with the various weapons and builds how I see fit. Despite all the guides, you can really just play how you want, and I think that's pretty cool. My favorite thing about New World is the lore that is spread out amongst the world, or the island. The main story lore is in the game, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the pages that you find, the diary pages that you find scattered about the land as you're running around and questing. Unlike most MMOs where you can read in-game stories or books, these pages are littered with clues about what you can find on this mysterious island, or tells you why things are currently the way they are. Like it just happened and you just happened to come across this city. Like last year it was fine and this year now it's overrun by zombies. And there's pages that's telling what happened that led up to that. Instead of just some random story that somebody wrote and you don't know who it was that wrote it and you're just like, oh, that was a funny story. It's actually like meaningful to the island. And I think that's pretty cool. Those were in the game before they added the main story quest, and those make a lot more sense to tell you what's going on, I think, more than the main story quest, which is just like an additional extra story, like an addendum to the game's story and lore and stuff like that to give your character purpose. For example, with the diaries, one set talks about the location of world bosses and where they are and how ferocious they are. Another talks about why certain animals aren't in the world and like why there aren't any mounts. And then there are also notes that give you hints about potential future content, which hopefully we'll have some videos on in the future talking about that. The sense of mystery and exploration and feeling like you found some secret that no one knows about, that's what I like about New World, that exploration. If you just want to ignore all of the conflict going on with the factions and just run around and craft and mine and gather, you can, while exploring and reading the notes that the tales of the people that used to live here. It's really cool, and it's like, I guess if you're an explorer of a new world, some of the things you would kind of go across and do, just see what's out there. I'm one of those guys that kind of like just going for drives randomly and just seeing where I get lost at and then coming back, like, and finding my way back. It's not hard. Maybe I'll get lost back on purpose also to see what else is around. But I like doing that, and I can do that also in New World. With all the things I do like, there are some things I don't really care for, such as not being able to name my character the MMO Ronin, because MMO has MO and Ronin has RON, and if you smash those together you have moron. And apparently you can't name a character moron in the game, and even if you put a space in it, if I put it toward the end of the name, I put it in the beginning of the name, you can't do it. I can flip it around, the Ronin MMO, but that doesn't make sense. And so I ended up with some long name in Spanish called El Ronin de MMO. So the Ronin of MMOs. So I had to go that route to make the name. It's kind of crazy. I put it in the forums at one point in time and they had changed it, and I guess they reverted it back. Even though there's some other crazier names in there than Moron. There's like Nimrod, but okay. Nimrod's not that crazy. So that was a little bit of a rant. I don't like how the names are locked globally. That's weird. You can only have one name in existence in the world. That's not even how the real world works. I guess in the new world, we're all just supposed to have one name. I don't like it, especially since they have the servers, and each of the servers are attached to a world. And you only make one character per secondary world per server, but only one name. Is like really complicated, and it doesn't need to be that. Just have people in North America have one name, and people in Central America have the same name, but it's in Central America. Like you're not crossing servers like that. There's not going to be any like cross territory zones that I know of, so they could have just each had their own list of names that have been used or taken, or just make it through their secondary blocks. Arcadian New. If you have a name on Arcadian New, then somebody else can't make that name on that same Arcadian New shard. I guess it's really weird that they did that like that. I don't like how inconsistent the spawn rate is. It's like sometimes spawns are just like all over the place. Like I'm seeing a ton of spawns come in, like I kill something and immediately it pops back up. It might be like me and 3 other people around. And then at other times you can sit there with like 10 people waiting for this one mob to spawn, and it just never spawns. And so I don't know what triggers that spawn to happen, but it's too inconsistent because you don't know what triggers it to happen. The most annoying thing, of course, is the wait times, the queue times to get into a server. They have calmed down a lot since last week when it launched. It did take some time. I guess they expanded the server a little bit, made some room, or making some adjustments. They probably didn't expect it to get this big. There are a lot of big name streamers playing it. Huge name streamers playing it, I should say. Of course, that community is going to want to jump in and play with the streamers. That makes sense. And then other people are just going to try to jump in because people are talking about it. The buzz is getting out, so they're going to want to jump into other servers. And like every server was full that people wanted to jump on. But like there's a bunch of servers that weren't full, and people weren't getting on those because they wanted to be on the server with their friends, or like I said, somebody that they knew. And it was just all a big mess in the beginning. But they ended up fixing that, I guess, a little bit. They're easier to get in now. Some of the main servers are probably like 1,000 queue now instead of like 20,000 or 9,000. And I believe the one I jump on is normally like in the hundreds. So it's pretty cool. Eventually they're gonna make it so you can transfer your character off of servers or on the servers. So once it all balances out, hopefully it'll be easier to jump on and play the game without having to wait for this whole queuing in with a 1,000-player queue. I think it's kind of crazy that there's some guides out there and things for the game already. Like day one drop, there's like a bajillion guides, but it allows you the freedom to play however you want to. The only thing that is costing you is time to play, because it doesn't respect your time at all. Like you're gonna hop in, expect to spend like an hour or 2 hours. One of those hours is going to be running around, and the other hour might be you attacking things. So definitely expect that much time to be spent playing the game. I'm going to do a lot of the lore videos, talk about some of these diary pages that I found because I really like those. So we're going to have some videos about that. And if that interests you, please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. And if there's anything else you want to see, or you want to tell me about your experience with New World, feel free to do so as well. And until the next video, guys, thanks for watching this one, but I'm out.